John, say something.
Something. Pa. I was out of... I only had enough sour for drinks of sour, so I'm just having...
an amaretto on the rocks? Or a sour on the rocks?
Or a sour on
neither.
or rocks on the amaretto.
I'm just having Morgan.
Morgan.
On the rocks.
Morgan the rocks.
We haven't really had drinks on the pod in a while.
We haven't.
I could tell.
Mostly because
Has our content been that bland?
maybe that's the core to our essence is
Drinking.
yeah.
I don't know. I thought last week was one of the best ones I've done in a long time.
It was good. I liked it.
Yeah.
As
I
much
didn't
as
drink
I
anything.
only listened to half of it.
I drank a whiskey on the night we thought we were going to record the last episode, and then Riley's like, I've got a cold, I can't talk. So I just drank the whiskey anyway.
Awkward.
So it was sort of an advance whiskey drink.
Advance on your
A
whiskey.
vigil of the pod, as it were.
Yes. Yes, indeed. The thing I was going to discuss.
Yeah, you say
Red
I was
Wall.
like, yes, Red, thank you. Are you guys familiar with Red Wall?
No.
I've heard of the rodents.
I've heard of Red Bull.
I've also heard of Red Wall, and I'm generally familiar with it. But there was this one, it's basically medieval animals, but not Narnia.
Okay.
That's precarious. And so there's some sort of mouse abbot, I believe.
A mouse abbot?
So there was this whole discussion thread on Facebook about, the existence of a mouse abbot implies the existence of a mouse pope. And of course, they had to rule out whether or not this could have been like an Orthodox or like a, Anglican or whatever. But
Like in Robin Hood?
I think it's very plausible that it is an Anglican rodent.
I forget what they said.
I mean,
but,
in Robin Hood, it's an
but
Anglican
I think
rodent, I'm sure.
I forget how the discussion ruled out Anglican, but it was quite fascinating. It was sort of a similar track to, like there's a car pope. What does that mean about the car Catholic Church?
There was a car Jesus that was...
Died for their car sins.
Wait, in Cars?
too.
Yeah, haven't you seen the car pope?
No.
There's a
There's
pope
a car
in Cars
pope.
too.
I've
Who
never
still
seen Cars 2.
He's not even the Pope Mobile. He's a car pope who rides on a Pope Mobile.
Which has all kinds of implications.
Because there's like this worldwide rally race that McQueen races in, and when they're in Italy, there's the car pope.
Okay.
Yeah, now you know. Oh, you know. But yes, it does. Well, I mean, it's like there's a car Jeep and like, which means there was a car World War II, which means there was a car Hitler,
Which means there was a car Normandy.
which means there was a car Holocaust.
A Carmendy.
I mean, in Planes, the spin-off movie, there was an old fighter plane that's retelling how his whole squadron was shot down. And I was like, dang, this is dark for a kid's movie.
I mean, for them,
Yep.
that's just infantry.
The cars are infantry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The cavalry are cars riding on other cars.
I was like,
Inanimate cars. Because isn't the Pope Mobile in Car 2 an inanimate car? It's like...
No, it's a regular car.
Oh, it's a
regular living car.
Mm-hmm.
that's
like
like a
normal
horse.
living cars.
It's like I am.
It's like the cows from Cars 1, the cow cars.
Oh yeah, the tractors.
The tractors. So it's like there are certain classes of vehicle that are sentient and have the rational soul, and there are some that don't.
And it's really nearly impossible to distinguish which is which because you have car flies, and
Cars that fly.
Yeah, and then there's Mater. We don't know what his deal is, but
It's a tomater.
Um,
That's his joke.
he, I want to see the tanks in the car world.
I mean, I can already imagine
Yeah,
it.
it's like my one purpose. I was built to kill.
Yeah, actually, it's like,
Or maybe they're just like it's totally reversed where all of the biological things are mechanical and all of the mechanical things are biological.
Oh, no.
Because they drink oil and like eat food for some reason.
Oh no.
So the tanks are just made out of flesh.
But that's separate. They drink with their mouths, but they still get fuel through the gas can.
Right.
So it's one of those. Cars is like the classic sense of world building with a whole lot of unanswered questions that allows people.
Because they weren't intending to world build.
No.
They were intending to, hey, this is a concept.
This is a
Living
kid's
car.
movie.
What if
that-
cars had feelings?
Don't think about it much.
It's like Pixar starts off. What if toys had feelings, and then what if bugs feelings, and then what was the next one in the order? What if superhero had feelings? Yeah, what if fish had feelings?
What if
What if monsters had feelings? And then with recent films like Coco and Luca, that there's some.
What if
jokes
people
again.
had feelings?
Yeah.
What if humans had feelings? This is how a full circle kids move.
What if feelings had feelings with Inside Out?
Oh my
Inside
god.
Out?
Yeah.
I don't know if they're. I mean, the feelings kind of have feelings, but the feelings are all sort of just boxed into the feeling that they are.
That's true.
I mean, Joy feels bad at one point.
It's been a long time since
Yeah.
I've seen it. I don't remember all the nuances. But
Mhm.
I actually liked that movie. That was a really
It was
good
all right. There are some things I generally rebel against hype, at least a little bit. Hype,
one.
yeah.
I don't like the tall.
Hype with a pop.
And that's not really to discount. Like, for example, Stranger Things. It was incredibly popular, still is when it came out. But I waited to watch it for like a year, and then I watched it. I was like, okay, it's pretty good. I don't feel like I'm on the bandwagon. Similar deal with what was the other thing?
With bandwagons.
Oh, yeah. The other thing, a lot of people are really psyched about the new Dune movie. And
There's a new
It's-
Dune movie?
yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
It's, I think it's next year it's coming out.
Yeah. Didn't you see the?
Oh yeah, the worm.
The Chris Bale gave
Christian Bale.
£450,000 to play the sandworm in Dune.
Yep. Okay, I remember.
Babylon be doing it again. Um,
I think that was actually
or was it The Onion?
no, it wasn't the Onion. It was
Clickhole, maybe? There was one satire site.
the daily. What's that satire site with the daily in it?
Daily Unit.
I don't remember.
Anyway, but it's gonna have like Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya and Dave Bautista and a bunch of people in it.
Dave Bautista doing more
Isn't it gonna be the Emperor?
more
or
sci-fi
whatever?
stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, Star Wars kind of ripped off Dune, so
Yeah.
maybe his hatred of Star Wars is sort of being he's getting some catharsis out of playing a prominent role in Dune.
Wait, but Dave Bautista hates Star Wars?
Wasn't that the guy that
No, that was
was in Mandalorian? What's that guy's name?
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr. Yeah. that's
Yeah.
right. Never mind. Disregard.
Yeah.
Bill Burr.
I am done.
Yeah, Bill Burr.
Sorry,
Bill Burr.
Sorry, Faith.
Um,
I can't control them anymore.
No. Yeah, no, Bill Burr was the one. And I think the only reason he got on the show because he was friends with Jon Favreau, and Favreau talked him into it. I think that was the...
I'm sorry.
Are we done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
It's too funny.
But yeah, no, Dune, I'm willing to give it a fair shake. Probably not something I'll see in theaters. It's like I'll wait and see if it's actually good. Because a lot of things when they're like really, really hyped, like my mind goes to... The classic example is Cyberpunk 2077. Like everyone was like really excited about that game for a long time.
Cyber hype.
Yeah, and when it came out, people were just incredibly underwhelmed.
Well, I mean,
And maybe like even if it's like a good movie, but if people overhype it, they're disappointed because they're how they imagined it would be versus what it actually is. It's like not giving film a fair shake. So that's my general policy. It's like, okay, try to go into things with an open mind.
avoid the bandwagon. Be a contrarian.
Well, it's not being a contrarian if you're willing to accept it if it's good. You just withhold expectations until
It's
you...
okay, James. I'm a contrarian too.
No.
The best way is to admit you have a problem, and then you can.
As I have another drink, the best way is to admit you have a problem.
The road to healing is acceptance.
Yeah.
Contrarians Anonymous. No one shows up.
'Cause none of them want. There's like, I only showed up because I thought no one else would show up.
All the posters say, "Don't come to the Contrarian Anonymous."
That's how you get contrarians there. They're very smart people.
They're very smart people.
The best of us, as one might say.
Speaking of contrarians,
We're the Palladium Papists. I'm James.
I'm John.
and I'm Riley. I was like,
who's
we froze
going
for a moment. Like, how do we
wait.
handle this?
I thought I was
Nathan's
going
gone.
last.
Nathan's gone.
It's like I'm always last.
I'm usually last. Oh boy.
Because if you said, and I'm Riley.
Have John and I ever, besides the Avatar episode, have we ever been on the pod at the same time?
The special Christmas special.
The
yeah.
Christmas special, which is sort of an exception
Yeah.
on all counts.
On all counts, it totally bucks the
I
formula.
think there was another one. I
There
think
had
when
to
we
have
did, when I did, what was it?
Because you talked about Avatar: The Last Airbender. You've talked about
The shooty guy.
Shooty guy.
Yeah.
Huh?
Snake.
Oh,
Metal Gear.
I wasn't on that episode.
You weren't?
no, it was Nathan and I.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when I was coming back from seminary.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
And,
Way back. Excuse me. But yeah, no. Nathan is off at a
Finals.
family reunion / wedding, wedding reception, part 2 for his sister. So we're here. A bit later in the
Here
week
we
than we
are.
usually do it.
Yep.
Because life is crazy.
Crazy.
we should have recorded on Monday when we all had nothing going on.
Yeah,
but,
I know. Why we didn't, I don't know.
What were you
But
doing?
here we are.
But here we are.
Here we are.
We are here.
We are here.
Mhm.
And I guess it's kind of sort of my turn to again.
Yeah.
Because Nathan, it would have been Nathan's turn.
And
But
I have nothing.
these guys have nothing. So
What are we talking about today?
I think we're going to talk about Death Note today.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I
we were
did
talking
briefly
about
mention that I was thinking about doing that before the podcast.
Oh,
I knew you were talking about some anime, but I didn't catch which one.
Yeah, so we're doing an edition of
We're not.
Super Serial.
One day, 3 lads from North Dakota were bitten by a radioactive television, and with their powers combined, they are Super Serial!
Super.
Always Super Serial.
This is where you put in the blumper.
This is
Well,
where
not this part. We're
this is
back. We're back from the
This
bumper
is
now.
where the bumper.
Oh, we're back. Okay.
Yeah, we're back.
We're back.
And we're talking about Death Note today. So Death Note is an anime produced 2007. And it is a story of a high schooler named Light Yagami.
Light.
Light as in,
L-A.
you turn on the light.
G-I-A.
Oh, I was gonna say
L-I-
small boy.
I don't know what I
L-I-G-H-T.
was spelling.
That's the impression I got anyway. Hello, Aaron.
Hi, how's it going?
We're doing a podcast.
I was gonna say if you crinkle a bag, I'm gonna kill you, but
We're gonna, this,
it doesn't apply retroactively. Yeah, I'll text it to you. We're recording. Keep
we're
going.
gonna have to cut all this out. But anyway.
Nah.
So yeah, Death Note, a story in which the main character, Light Yagami, finds a mysterious black notebook that says Death Note on it.
Is that the opposite of light?
It's sort of ironic, yeah. And so he discovers that this notebook, if he writes the name of someone in it, that person ends up dead.
Oh.
Yeah. Hence, Death Note.
Oh. I get it.
But he has to know their name and their face. Can't
And
just
their face?
And their face.
Why?
That is an important plot point.
Is that a rule
That is a rule.
of the book?
It is the rule of the
Of the
book.
notebook?
And so he is like super freaked out about this. He killed someone he knows on accident. It's just like, he's just casually journaling in this thing.
Oh.
And someone at school just dies. And that's not fun.
Uh-oh.
But
That's
and he
sad.
considers the potential of this notebook and what he could do with it. And he's like, maybe I could, exact justice upon high-profile criminals and stuff. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
That
So he-
sounds like a good idea to me.
So he goes and, vigilante
I
executes.
am the law.
Vigilante executes a bunch of people from his, room.
From his room.
From his room.
Wow.
And then he starts turning from local Kyo criminals to more international pursuits. And eventually, he's visited by a Shinigami.
Sheik?
Sheik? No, not Sheik. This spirit from an other world who has the powers of death.
Oh.
And they all have death notes.
Oh.
But they...
He's like, I dropped that.
They're kind
Grab
of
it
like
back.
the Grim Reapers, more or less. And instead of taking a scythe to you, write your name in their death note and you die. But
Okay.
Ryuk dropped his death note because he was bored and wanted to see what the humans would do with it.
So he did drop it, but not on accident.
Oh, he dropped it totally on purpose.
Okay.
So he is not visible to anyone who hasn't touched a notebook, obviously.
Okay.
Because that would be kind of scary if you just saw this, big. He's got real big eyes and sharp teeth.
Oh, sharp teeth.
Yeah, he's a scary looking dude.
So he's not a Grim Reaper looking guy.
He's not a Grim Reaper looking guy.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got the bug eyes.
Oh. Okay.
Not normal.
And so, as all of these criminals around the world start dying of heart attacks and mysterious ailments, people are starting to put together that there's probably something behind this.
What?
Yeah,
It's all connected.
it is all connected.
Well, why would they suspect that?
Because it's high profile criminals that are dying in eerily similar ways.
Oh. Okay. So, pause for a second.
No,
Pause.
we're gonna keep recording.
Well, I don't mean pause
Well, he means
recording.
hold on. I have a question.
Yeah,
I
that's
know.
what I mean. So does nobody die? Like, if your name never gets written, you live forever? Is that essentially the way it works
that's
in this universe?
Yes, but once you reach the age that your body is naturally decomposing, Shinigami will come around and write your name so that you die.
So basically, the Grim Reaper.
So if they didn't write
if
your
they
name,
didn't, you wouldn't die.
you would decompose but not die.
You would. They don't exactly explain how that works. But they
Presumably.
they have overlord. They have like taskmasters.
Okay.
That they'll be like, hey,
It's his turn.
go kill that person.
It's their time.
It's their time. Yeah, that is an interesting quest to ponder. I
So,
suppose.
like, what if you got so if you get shot, then
So we're talking about like primary and secondary causality here.
Okay.
Except there's a thing that God is the primary cause of everything, and there are secondary causes which also cause things, and they aren't in conflict. But we'll get into that later.
Got it.
Except it's not exactly primary and secondary causality. But we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Moving on.
So the media dubs this mysterious phenomenon. It's probably a person, they figure, because
Poison and assassination.
Yeah, assassination juice. They call him Kira, which is the Japanese, anglicization of killer.
Oh.
Kira.
Okay.
And so they get Interpol involved and be like, hey, there's this world famous detective guy. His name is L.
Great.
He sponsored Sesame
course.
Street that week, So L is contacted by the higher-ups to say, please solve this case.
One of these things is not like the other. These guys is dead.
And he's a lot of success on some other high-profile cases that no one else in the world can solve.
Mm-hmm.
He's never lost
Like Who Framed
a case he's
Roger
taken
Rabbit.
up. So he's very selective of what he does.
Mm-hmm.
But L is confident that he can find the killer. So,
Dun, dun, dun.
of course, L stays in miss because he's a big brain dude, has figured out that the name, the real name and the face of the person are required in order to execute whomever,
And how would he figure that out?
because he's observed pattern and made an induction.
Okay. Got it. Is there people on TV?
Because there are people on TV. Anyway, like that's literally how Light has been, choosing his targets is by people criminals on the news.
Got it.
So you just go through news reports and see if this person's been on the news, they died. Yeah, that's probably a reason to keep yourself anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
So he, of course, doesn't reveal his face or his name, and investigates the case. And because there has been an internal Japanese investigation going on, and the killer has been pretty much unfound because, they've deduced that it's a person in Japan based on the fact that the first several were all Japanese criminals.
Okay.
And so they know that this guy in Japan and probably has contacts with the Japanese authorities because he's been uncaught so far. And it just so happens that Light's dad works at the investigation. He's like the head of the Kira investigation. So he's been getting information from his dad from that. So that's another strike.
So there's a mole.
Well, not exactly a mole.
Unwitting,
More like an unwitting mole. So L has figured out that much so far. Enter Misa Amane, who's this famous actress lady, who also happens to have Death Note.
Oh.
But obsessed with whoever Kira is, and makes this public announcement, says, "Hey Kira, contact me. I love you." Because she's crazy. Because she's nuts.
So more than one.
She doesn't she'd tell everyone in the world that she has Death Note, because that would be silly. But she also gets in contact with him, and he's like, "Kill people for me." She's like, "Sure."
Oh, so both have the notebooks. Okay, so how did she get one?
This puts Blue's Clues in
has
a whole new light. I'm just saying.
If a Shinigami happens to lose their Death Note or drop or whatever in the course of their events, the people can see it and grab it.
Okay.
Rem, who is Misa's Shinigami, dropped hers and she grabbed
sleeps very deeply.
Yes, the random eye movement.
Okay.
And so Misa has made a deal with her Shinigami to get these special eyes that allow her to see the name of anyone she looks at the cost of half of her natural lifespan.
Okay.
So she has the ability to kill anyone she sees just because she gets their name and then can write it down in her book.
Right.
So it's a very useful tool for Light to execute people, and that's how he's planning to get L whenever he finds L.
Okay.
And so L eventually figures out that Misa is the second Kira because she's been, doing killings too, and gets arrested. And
she does or he does?
Misa gets arrested.
Okay.
Because L is the one doing the arresting.
Got it.
And so he, Rem, Misa's Shinigami, is like, "Hey, bring my lady back. She has my note. I'm going to kill you if you don't." He's like, "Okay, I guess I'll work on that." And so he arranges for them to have their memories erased so they don't actually know that they're the Death Noters, and has a little info dump to give them their memories back.
L figured out that that Death Note is a thing yet?
He has detained Misa, so he has found her Death Note. He'd pretty much figured out how it functions anyway. He just now knows that there is a physical thing that is required to make it work.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So, because his memories are erased and he's graduated high school, he's like, "I'm going to join the Kira task force." And so
Ironic.
Yes. And so he attempts to help find himself.
Okay.
Without knowing that he's looking for himself, because his memories are all gone.
He's trying to find himself in the police force.
And so he Rem passed that Death Note to another dude that he can continue killing people and make it not look like the memories are erased. And there's actually Akira still out there. And they eventually find him and erase the memories not erase the memories. They take his death note, and once that's done, they find the thing that gets their memories back, and they get their memories back, and they write his name, Higuchi's, in the death note, and then he dies.
Oh.
And then, so it's got his memories back, and he's gonna do more writing.
Sounds like Light is turning into a bad guy.
Light has been the bad guy the whole time.
Oh.
It's pretty clear.
It's all along.
It's pretty clear early on that Light has been, he has a good motive, which is to reduce the number of criminals in the world, but the way he does it is highly unethical.
Kind of a
True.
Punisher, like the Punisher.
And so,
Don't say it.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm glad you had the restraint. So, Light continues to work on the investigation, and
You'd say
Light is blackmailing Rem into killing L. It's his goal.
Okay.
Because
Wait, I thought Elle was dead.
L is not dead.
Well, who was the one? The Shigami, what or whatever?
Higuchi, the other guy that they handed the death note to,
Oh,
and L caught him,
and
he's like, "I got the killer. We're done now."
"Oh, I thought you."
No, L is
killed
still
L.
hanging out,
Okay.
but he's obviously a major obstacle to Light's master plan. So he's
Got
like, "I kill him." So, essentially, he blackmailed Rem into killing L for him, and that happens.
Oh,
Got it.
so now L's out of the way.
L is out of the way,
ETL.
but if L was totally gone, the public would freak out and someone else after him. So now Light takes up the mantle of L and plays both parts.
Oh, he's crazy.
He's very crazy.
Got it.
So, a long time later, there's some new investigators that, are basically child prodigies that come out of the woodwork.
Great.
And they pretty much figured out that L is dead at this point because the investigation has gone nowhere. And if the real L was alive, it would have been resolved.
Uh-huh.
So they know that Kira is probably acting as L at this point. So consider they are working on that investigation team with Light and his dad and all those other people. So they're like, yeah, I bet Light's the guy. So they just need to find proof now. So there's now some more public suspicion on Misa because the two dudes, Nier and Mello, are figuring out that
Mellow
are probably involved. So Light passes Misa's death note to another person. He's just like passing him out,
Mm-hmm.
Hands it to this other dude to avoid suspicion. And he gets this newscaster to be his public spokesperson. And so that's fun. They're just like publicly supporting Kira in the news now.
Oh,
Dang.
Like on the air because people are like, yeah, we have so much less crime because everyone's
Fight
afraid
the
to
public
do.
opinion battle.
People are afraid to ever do anything wrong because if they do and their name gets put on the news, they're going to die. So, like, there's no crime anymore. This is great.
uh-huh.
And so they figured out Light is eventually captured and they, put him to death. So that's the end of it.
Did
That's
they use
the
a,
end.
Did they
That's the
use a
end.
camera?
Did they use a camera? Hey, that's not a camera.
Capture Light.
So Light dies in the end.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. This whole podcast is a spoiler.
It's a spoilerful podcast.
It is a
TM.
spoiler for podcast. So, yeah, the synopsis of the show is kind of all over the place. The thing about the show that's really fun is the way it happens and how they mete out the information to you. It's just a highly suspenseful and well-written show. So, it doesn't really do it justice to just sit and summarize the plot because the thing that makes it fun is having it
How they do it.
how it's distributed to you.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, it's kind of the master class of suspense as anime goes. And it's been the number one show on my anime list for a long, long time. So it's incredibly good.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends in high school who watched it, and I was like, can't watch that. My mom won't let me watch that. Can't watch that. And I thought it was bad.
I mean, there is a lot of death.
Yeah. I mean, anything that was anything remotely related to death, I was probably like, that's bad. You shouldn't watch that.
Finding Nemo, Off the Limits. His mom dies.
Bambi.
Old Yeller.
Old Yeller.
I was a foolish child. Anyway.
So,
have you seen Death Note, John?
No.
Okay.
we just got done saying that he...
Okay, cool. Just thought I'd confirm. I haven't seen it either. So,
James,
Yeah.
have you seen it?
James, have you seen it? Wait a minute. Have you seen it?
No. I have not.
Wow. Okay.
It's not super long. It's only 37 episodes.
Okay. It's
Okay.
only 37.
So it's longer than some, but less long than a lot. So
Less long.
What happened to the crazy actress lady?
the crazy actress lady got apprehended because they figured out that she was involved.
And she died. No.
I don't actually remember if she died. She might have died.
I mean, because they executed Light.
Yeah, I mean, she was very much under Light's thumb, so she might have gotten off easy because she was being blackmailed and manipulated the whole time, but also killed people. So, but Light was obviously the mastermind behind the whole thing, and so, yeah, he probably deserved it. And he was, an incredible genius. So, not merely detaining him probably wouldn't have lasted, especially given that he's got a huge cult following around the world.
So somebody could have visited him in jail, and he's like, "Here, take this death note and kill these people."
Yeah, and then you can get out. So, I mean, yeah, we can talk about death penalty discourse as part of this.
Good. I mean,
friends, what is the Catholic position on the death penalty?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
There are conditions to don't do it, though.
Yeah.
What are those
if it
conditions?
is possible to detain someone in a way that doesn't endanger the public, then do that instead of death penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we see the criteria here are not met.
No.
Because it's not reasonable to detain the guy. Given the circumstances, he's almost guaranteed to get out at some point, given his intelligence and his network of support. Mm-hmm. And he presents a grave danger to the public. So, yeah.
It's more out of a sense of the public good than out of a sense of vindication, or, to due to the severity of his crime, he has to suffer severe punishment.
Right. That is not the idea.
No.
The idea is that we're doing it for the common good, recognizing that, ending a life before its natural conclusion is a wrong thing, but there are also a hierarchy of goods.
Mm-hmm.
We are not consequentialists, but we're also not deontologists.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We recognize that there's a medium between those two things.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly vigilante justice is off the table. Because, I mean, that's how Light gets started, right? He starts killing criminals. It's like, well, these guys deserve it. I have the power to get rid of them.
To make it happen.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, don't take the law into your own hands. No, that's not to say don't,
Yeah, take that, Green Arrow.
Or any superhero.
Yeah.
That's not a cop.
That's not a cop.
I suppose you could say Barry Allen is like the
Batman's a cop.
Batman is not a cop.
He's a
But
detective.
he wears black.
Batman is definitely a vigilante.
Yeah.
And depending on the iteration of Batman that we're talking about, he has various degrees of cooperation with the legal authorities, but also far exceeds his own legally granted authority to do anything that he does.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, vigilante justice. And we're talking about where we were going to talk about secondary and
Primary and secondary causality.
Yeah.
So, philosophy time.
Philosophy time.
Philosophy time. Primary
Make a
causality
bumper for that.
refers to the fact that God enacts all, God causes everything that happens, which we can say, yeah, that's reasonable, right?
It's like,
God is in control of the universe. He created it. He continues to sustain it in being, and therefore is the cause of everything that happens. If he didn't continue to suspend all that exists in being, it wouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
It would not continue to be. And so in that sense, and it is through his power that things happen.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, that's what we mean when we say primary causality. And secondary causality is the legitimate effects that, natural created beings have.
Mm-hmm.
So when I poke James,
Audible poking.
it's not the case that God commanded my arm to move and I moved.
Mm-hmm.
I have the legitimate authority and free will to be a natural cause to move my arm and poke James.
To be an audible cause.
To be an audible cause of audibly poking James. And likewise with everything, even natural phenomena are secondary causes.
Mm-hmm.
The wind knocking over a tree and putting a dent in my car is a secondary cause.
And this is sort of explains, because the common objection, the primary cause is like the problem of evil. It's like, and then that's more of like, is God really good if he allows bad things to happen?
Yes.
It's like, well,
So
you have secondary causes of things.
Yes, but you can make the argument, even in the face of that distinction, that God doesn't cause directly evil things to happen, but he still permits them. And
Mm-hmm.
would a good God permit evil things to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Which, from a purely philosophical point of view, is not something that you can really defeat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when you have revelation, you can.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have to encourage people to believe what revelation contains, which is the primary operative issue.
So how does that come into play with Death Note? The whole primary.
It
secondary
doesn't.
cause? Well, we were talking
we
about.
were talking about
would these people die
would
if
the-
their name wasn't written in the book?
It's not exactly the same thing.
I mean, that's how this discussion got started.
It is, but I was just going to
Thank you,
explain
Jamie.
that to explain why it's not how Death Note universe works.
Not
Okay.
how
We're not
it
we're not
works.
talking about this in terms of a primary secondary causality thing. It seems that there isn't really any primary causality in this world because the Shinigami are still like finite created things as far as can be told.
Okay.
I mean, we aren't given enough information to know anything
They
otherwise.
just are what they are.
The show is like, we're not going to go into too much detail. This is an interesting concept, so let's let it play out and see what happens.
they're really a device to give light the power to murder people.
And
That's not much more is explained than that because it doesn't serve the story.
so it's almost a fable in that sense, where it's just like, just accept that these are the conditions and this is the story. to be
Yeah,
told.
more or less.
Yeah.
Cool.
But they are not like the things that are suspending anything in being. They just have a particular power through their death note to be the ones who cause death. So they aren't really a primary cause at all.
No,
Right.
purely secondary.
Right.
So that's why that situation doesn't apply.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, to bring it full squirrel, to do. It's kind of like how with cars, you just don't think too hard about the world because they don't really. It's about the story they're trying to tell, not about whether or not there's a car pope or a car Jesus. Death Note. It's just a thing.
This is
This
how
is-
it works. Just
Yep.
accept it
Just go with it.
because it serves the story I want to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
Let's.
let's talk about light.
Yeah. Is it a wave or is it a particle?
Well, there's light. Looks like there's some light in your eyes.
There is a lot of light in my eyes right now. It is the eventide,
And
The sun is
there's
coming
a
through
west-facing window,
west-facing window, and I'm sitting on the east side of the room.
and the sun has not yet set beyond the Newman Center
The
across the street.
setting sun now dies on.
Do we go into
Is light an anti-hero?
I'd say at first, but then
He devolves into a villain.
yeah.
You think so? Why?
Well, initially, he believes he is serving justice through.
It's
means-
he believes he's serving justice the whole time.
Okay. Right. But then he is willing to kill.
people who do
Who-
not deserve
people who
it
do not
to
deserve
protect
it.
himself,
Yeah, like L.
and he manipulates others.
But his rationalization is that L is obstructing justice by attempting to catch him and detain him from enacting his works of justice.
Mm-hmm.
So he is defending the criminals tacitly by attempting to catch him.
Sure. Okay.
But he's still operating outside of the rule of law.
I don't know. I think at the beginning he starts out as a hero, maybe a misguided hero, but just plain hero, and then devolves into anti-hero-dom.
And probably by the end, just full-out villain.
Full out villain. Yep. Which is kind of what power kind of does to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Illegitimate power, because he just
illegitimate power and,
arbitrarily gets this ability because this being decides, you know what, let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
because it is no skin off his, ghostly nose. Yeah, his job is just to kill people, and he's just doing that.
It's like, let's see what happens when humans get to kill other people with this.
There have been, I think they explain that other death notes have been acquired by people in the past.
Okay.
So, but never in the age of technology, to the point where it could be
documented.
utilized, such as it was in this instance.
Right. Because if it was found a long time ago before TV, it'd be a lot harder to.
Just gotta go out on the battlefield and
Hey, what's your name?
hey,
What? If you're wearing a
I
helmet.
can't hear you.
is L a hero?
Classic pen versus sword argument right there.
He is chaotic neutral.
He's neutral.
No, he's
No.
not neutral.
I don't even know that. I'd say he's probably more of a neutral good.
Oh.
He's not really chaotic. He's kind of lawful, but also he's like goes outside the box with his methods,
Now, what definition of hero are we going with here?
What do you think, Riley?
Is he someone who is earnestly striving for the good and using good methods to attain it?
He is not.
Yes and no. Because he's striving, well, I suppose if we're talking about the good, as in the real good, then definitely.
Well, the
then no.
particular good proper to his station in life as investigator detective dude.
Mhm. Well, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So
Right.
he's got good intentions, but he's not doing good things to get those intentions.
Some
So
acts cannot
how
be
is he not-
justified through good intentions.
What acts is L doing that are not justifiable?
Killing people in a very cowardly way.
Oh,
no,
no,
not
L,
L,
light.
not light.
Oh, we're talking about L. Sorry.
Yeah, I had the same. I was like, I thought we were still
detective
talking about
guy.
light, yeah, I have a hard time keeping track of it.
Wait, so is L a hero? Is the question?
Yes, that's the question.
Okay. I'd say so. I mean, maybe he is
is
as
he a
light
policeman himself, or is he like a private detective?
He's more of a private detective.
But the police enlist his help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he is. Actually, I'd say he's the opposite
He's the
of light.
They're clearly foils of each other.
He's doing the right thing, but for the wrong reason.
What's the wrong reason?
He wants to take down light for the sake of his own glory. Like, he wants the credit of saying, I got this guy.
Well, 'cause he's a
instead of
famous
saying,
detective.
And he only takes on these super high profile cases.
right, and he doesn't actually care about the victims.
He wouldn't be.
cares
Yeah, he
about
wouldn't be picky, but he wouldn't
solving
be
the case.
picky about which cases he solves if he was impartial and just wanted to serve justice
Right.
and the common good.
So he does good, but for the wrong motive, I think.
Mhm.
And in that way, he sort of parallels Light, who attempts to do something just with the wrong motive
Mm-hmm.
and the wrong means. And that's, I mean, as it progresses, Light, dissolves into bad means, and L does not. He does not choose to use illegitimate, illicit, or immoral means to achieve his ends.
Mm-hmm.
Just uses his enormous brain.
His big brain, huge brain,
Such large.
Such large, many
large cranium.
Well, do we get into some transcendental analysis?
Sure.
Truth. What are some truths we can learn from in Death Note?
Do good things, but don't use bad means to do them.
Mm-hmm.
Also, check your motives.
So don't use Death Note.
Because sometimes you can do the right thing with bad motives,
Yes, but it's
but
also
you can reorient yourself to have the proper mindset about something. So it's not
which
just
in
what you're
which
doing.
in this case would cause you to stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
But as a general principle,
Mm-hmm.
examine your motives, reorient them if
Is
you
it
need
your
to.
place to do these things for the good? Like, are you somebody entrusted with the common good and the public trust as like an officer of the law, or a judge or somebody in enacting? But if you're not, it's not just for any old person to do.
He also had plenty of opportunities to jump into legitimate law enforcement because his dad was, a prominent detective.
Mm-hmm.
And, he had ins to do justice in a legitimate way. So, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he had
chose
every,
not to.
he chose not to.
He woke up every day and chose violence.
What was that line in Lord of the Rings when Gandalf was talking to Frodo? About-
Some who die deserve life, or no, not all who die deserve death. Not all who live deserve life. Can you give that to them, Frodo?
Can you give that to them? That's what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Any other truths from Death Note?
Capital
Human-
punishment can be used in very
Limited
conditional,
circumstances.
limited circumstances,
Right.
morally.
Which underscores the value of human life as opposed to,
A mere focus on justice.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when it comes to things like the death penalty and stuff, a lot of it is driven by emotion.
There have
too much.
been many people throughout history who have been recipients of the death penalty who, probably didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cases where people are like, yep, nope, this person definitely killed that other person, let's hang them.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't really have the proper evidence.
Or even in those like today, like I mean, if you murder a person, like what we were talking about before, they probably still don't deserve the death penalty because I mean, Jesus got rid of that eye for an eye thing, and we have the means of detaining them now.
In Western nations,
Yeah.
developed countries.
Sure.
Yeah. There's still some flexibility based on need,
Sure. Yeah.
as in all things.
I hear a lot of arguments from people about like what we should
Yeah.
have the death penalty for, and they're a lot of people are in favor for the death penalty on a lot of things. They're just like, no.
Well, a lot of it comes from like based on the severity of the crime committed.
Right.
And
Like as from a sort of human gut reaction to these heinous acts, you're like, okay, this requires terrible consequences,
Right.
as a natural response. But just because you have that response doesn't necessarily mean it's a violation of the natural law that you're just like, okay, this has got to be balanced out.
Mm-hmm.
But, like we've been talking about, pure, eye for an eye doesn't apply when the circumstances permit this person to be punished by other means that don't necessitate taking their life.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness.
None.
Yeah, I was going to say not a
There
whole lot.
is none. Really.
Not a whole lot. It's kind of a somber tale.
Well, I mean, you can mention the faint glint of goodness in his initial good intentions.
That's not really goodness. I wouldn't argue in it as a
Well, in his
transcendental thing.
Perspective. I mean, are we talking about?
We're talking
So
transcendental
he's not
goodness
like
here.
I hate his backstory isn't like I am just really mad at all these people doing bad things. Ooh, this tool to solve that fell in my hands. He was like just a bored high school genius before.
What can I
and
do
then
without getting in trouble?
Receives the death note after that and starts to develop that attitude after. So it's not like he had a predisposition to justice. He just, received this power and rationalized it.
Mm-hmm. He could have just not used it. But he's like, all right, well, what's the way I can do this without getting in trouble, really?
I guess the one goodness that I could talk about is, they had this, foster home for the kids that were, that were trying to become L's successors. They just took people in who had the potential to become great. So it was an environment that allowed the fostering of exceptional gifts and provided them a place that they could grow up securely despite being orphaned or whatever. So,
okay.
Yeah, there's that. We've got that.
There's a little glimmer.
The one shining spot in the darkness.
There's a small little
Right. I
audible
feel like
glimmer.
there always has to be something.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of darkness, beauty.
Beauty.
The show's aesthetic is, similarly black.
Kind of noir.
Blacks and
almost,
grays are the predominant color palette used, and it really reflects like the attitude and subject matter that we're talking about.
That makes sense.
The other predominant color being brown.
Brown.
Brown. Light always wears brown. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the art design and the aesthetics are very much tailored toward the overall message and tone of the story.
Mm-hmm. This is kind of a messed up situation.
Mm-hmm.
This
It's
is a
muddy-
bad time.
It's muddy and murky. There's things that are plainly bad and gray areas. So let's reflect that with our color palette.
Gray.
Gray.
Black.
Brown.
Brown.
Sepia. Unity.
Death.
Trinity.
So much death.
The wages of sin are the wages of sin is death.
But this is not what that really means.
No. Well, I mean,
In a
certain
in the
sense.
final analysis, it sort of does.
because light lives by the sword and he dies by the sword.
He lives by the pen and dies by the sword.
That's true.
It's kind of interesting.
Whoever said the pen is mightier than the sword
Sword
has
clearly
never
never seen Death Note.
been, yeah, has never been
I mean,
stabbed
he
by
was
both.
right.
He who says the pen is mightier than the sword has obviously never been stabbed by both. It's from one of the series of unfortunate events.
Oh.
I may have
Okay.
quoted it in the episode way back when. I don't remember. It's been
That was a
while.
long time ago now.
Yeah.
It was one of our earlier episodes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of earlier episodes.
Yeah, if you'd like to listen to those, well, first of all, thanks for listening to the Palladium Papers. You can listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Papists. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, or suggestions for future episodes, email us at palladiumpapist@gmail.com. So yeah, stay tuned. We might, if all things go according to plan, there'll be some interesting, cool new stuff we're gonna do next week. So stay tuned for that. Yeah. All right. Later.
Bye bye.
See ya.